Welcome back to Liam Doesn't Know Ball. I'm Liam. I objectively don't know ball, but that does not stop me from having opinions. So, what brings me here to you today at 5:26 a.m. Central Standard Time on November 4th, 2025 is my algorithm, my Instagram algorithm, brought me this lovely little post, and this will even show you the time. It'll focus. As you can see, it's not going to focus to show you the time, but as you can see, it's a photo of Harvey Elliott. I think I saw it, but I said this, but just to be clear, this is from the Rising Ballers account on Instagram. They have 2.9 million followers, pretty significant. And they posted a picture. They posted this photo, a black and white photo, and it was a series of photos, but I'm just interested in the Villa one, obviously. And it says, Harvey Elliott's situation at Aston Villa right now needs to be spoken about. I'm speaking about it, but to be fair, I'm speaking about it because of this post. Unable to play against his parent club Liverpool this weekend, but he's not played in any of their last four Prem games and been given just 170 minutes in total since signing for Aston Villa. Everyone knows how good this guy can be. Klopp loved him for a reason. Just 22 years old. He will be back with the little emoji. And even this, I'm going to note it, even though I don't think it says much. Sam Proctor, the, third choice goalkeeper, liked it, but he likes frickin' everything. I'm actually probably going to unfollow him because he's one of those accounts that likes everything and makes a lot of stuff come up on my account. But that's besides the point. I actually talked about this in my Liverpool post-match reaction, which, as we know, Harvey Elliott cannot play in that game because he is on loan right now, and he cannot play against his parent club. Now, whether or not that's a good thing, I don't always entirely agree with that, but that's a whole different topic for a whole different video that I probably won't make just because I don't really feel like debating it. But I talked about this, and no one watched this because no one watches my videos, but I just felt so called to talk about this because it just is so... It just goes to show, John Townley. I love John Townley. If you're a Villa fan, follow John Townley. I love reading his articles. I love hearing his perspective on football, especially from Aston Villa. But he makes the point that he likes to watch, or he likes to listen to people who are Villa fans talk about Aston Villa. Because he thinks about Aston Villa while he's chopping his onions. And whereas these pundits, they will only, and that's kind of the truth for, the other 14. And specifically, if you're not a fan of one of those 14 clubs. If you're a fan, or people generally know what's going on in the clubs in the Big Six. Now, they might not know the nitty-gritty. They might not follow as closely as, and John uses the example of, Gary Neville. He played for Manchester United. He's a Manchester United fan. He will know the ins and outs of that club because he's a fan. He doesn't super particularly care about his opinions on Aston Villa. He'll know a lot from a tactical analysis perspective and all of that, and just a commentary perspective, but he doesn't know Villa. And this situation is such an obvious representation of that. Because if you knew that, and you would know, I actually think that Harvey Elliott not playing a lot of games right now is a good thing. That's counterintuitive. You would think you would want to get him embedded in the team. This is how Emery does it. Yuri Tielemans did not play very much when he first arrived at Aston Villa. There was even an interview that came out when he was on international break about how when he first moved, the situation wasn't good. He was not happy about it. He was speaking about that in the press. In his first season, at the 23-24 season, 24-25 season, he arguably should have been in the Premier League team of the season, depending on who you ask and, all of that. And he was our Players' Player of the Season and Supporters' Player of the Season. He was outstanding because Emery likes to bed them in slowly. They're learning the system. Now, Jadon Sancho, who his stock has been pretty low. He's been noted to have attitude problems, work rate issues at Manchester United. Those things weren't really and mostly under Ten Hag. He didn't really have those problems when he went back to Dortmund. He actually played really well when he was back at Dortmund. Chelsea, he was okay. No attitude problems. Played a lot for them, but just they couldn't agree on a wage. I don't blame him for not wanting to take a 50% pay cut if he doesn't have to. And I think the reason why, he's been playing more is because he is here for a limited time, first of all. Second of all, he plays in a position where Villa is not as stacked. We haven't had a dynamic winger since the 23-24 season when Leon Bailey was beating everyone. And, had Ollie Watkins not had the season, had he been slightly not as good, he would have been probably our players' player of the season, supporters' player of the season. When I voted, it was really close. I did end up voting for Ollie Watkins, but, it was close. We are taking advantage of him now because we're covering 80% of his wages, and it's in a position we need. Harvey Elliott really is a number 10. We are extremely deep in that position. Emi Buendia has been here for a very long time. He already knows the system very well. I think, personally, the fact that Elliott is not playing much is because we have the time. We have the gift of time in that position. And I think that will give us the option in the summer to maybe move on one of those players who plays in the number 10. Maybe, and I'm not advocating for this. I don't want to say I'm not advocating for this because that sounds like I am, but I am not advocating for this for a second. But it does potentially open up the door to sell Morgan Rogers for big money and get us out of this FFP, PSR, SCR nightmare, potentially. Or even Buendia, we were open to option offers in the summer. He's been one of our players of the season. He's been impacting games. But if we can get Harvey Elliott bedded in, and I think that's why we're going slow, we're going to have fixture compiled up in about a month. It is going to get crazy. After the international break, once those festive fixtures start, with the Europa League, the Premier League, and once the FA Cup starts in January, it is going to be jam-packed. We are going to need him, and I think the fact that we're taking time to get him playing exactly how we want him is a good thing. I also think it's a good thing long-term. Have him I'm actually training at a new job. I just started my 5th week. I did not have an ounce of training. It is, do you know how to do this task? No? Well, let me show you really quickly. There's no we're going to teach you how to do this and then blah, blah, blah. No, it's not like that. It, I think, is going to be a slow, bedded-in system, and I think Emery has played him a little bit just to kind of as a little temperature check. How are you adapting to this? And he scored our first goal in all comps against Brentford. And I think that he's going to play more, basically, is the crux of what I am trying to say. Because Villa will play a lot of football. We'll play a minimum of 38 games in the Premier League, 8 games in the Europa League, so that's 46. We're out of the Carabao Cup, so 47. And we'll play at least 1 game in the FA Cup. That is 48 games of football. He needs to play 2% of the games. He's already at 5. That's a lot. Well, that is 50% of the obligation. We are in no rush. He will get to 10 appearances. Now, there is the conspiracy theory about, he's not being played because, and there are a couple of layers to this. He wasn't an Emery signing, he was a Monchi signing. No signing comes in the door without Emery's approval. And it's not like he's some unknown where Emery's just looking at his numbers and be I think he would match. No. You know he knows who Harvey Elliott is. I knew who Harvey Elliott was when I first started watching football. He is a very high profile, still young player. So that's nonsense that it was just brought by Emery. That, I don't know, maybe he got here and, well, and I really think that Harvey Elliott, and I believe I said this in my transfer window video, he left Liverpool because he wants to be in contention for the World Cup squad. Who wouldn't? Being 22, 23, representing your country at the World, that's incredible. I think that's part of the major reason why he's here. Because he knows he's not going to get a lot of opportunity at Liverpool. Like I think that when he was like 20, 21, it's like, okay, you know, I'll mature and get better, and, you know, that just hasn't worked. And then I think there's a question of like, do we want to pay the transfer fee? I don't think that's so much a problem. We will have accounted for that. And I know there was one other point that I wanted to make about the 10 appearance. Yeah, he'll get to 10 appearances. Oh, the other thing. I think that there are some people who are like, oh, we don't want to pay the transfer fee like right away because it'll be triggered. I don't know about that. I don't know if there's a way to look into that. I don't know if anyone has information, like anyone at the Athletic or any of these Villa Reporter podcasts who kind of have like ties to the club, if they can confirm if that's true or if that's been confirmed somewhere, and I just don't know. But, and, you know, maybe if he does hit the appearances, the 10 appearances before the end of January and we have to pay up, okay, fine. But he will make 10 appearances before the end of the season. If he doesn't make 10 appearances and he goes back to Liverpool because he didn't hit 10 appearances by the end of the season, I will shave my head. I will shave my head. Because that is complete and utter nonsense. I'm sorry. This has been very rambly, but this whole Harvey Elliott thing has been people talking utter nonsense about Villa, people outside of the fan base who don't know what they're talking about. And to be fair, on the Rising Ballers post, the quotes are, or the comments are, the top comments have been pretty decent. Admin, you do realize he is on loan, right? He's on loan, so he couldn't have played. Barely started at Klopp. Klopp loved him. He's on loan, so he couldn't play Fala. I don't think many people in this couldn't play, but clearly Emery doesn't rate him. Okay, that's not. I don't agree with that at all. But I just don't like when these media outlets and stuff that are dedicated to covering like the big six and everything try and cover a Villa story or something, and because they just show how much they don't care, and when they do have to cover it, they get caught with their pants down because they don't know what's going on beyond like surface level. That is why I don't like listening to major podcasts and stuff outside of the big six, because they're just looking at surface level stuff. I don't listen to them. I like listening to fan-made podcasts because they are giving an actual perspective of what the fans are feeling and what is actually happening in the fan base and at the club. Like my friend Micah, she's a West Ham fan. I was asking her about David Moyes when he was really under pressure and, you know, when he ended up leaving at the end of the 23-24 season. And she sent me a whole long paragraph that was over, like, you know, the amount that could fit in a page. And she, like, apologized. I was like, no. Thank you for taking the time to explain that so I have the full context from someone. She's been a fan her whole life. I don't know her age. I'll never ask a woman her age, but she's older than me. And, like, she has that personal connection to West Ham. She knows what's going on. And this Harvey Elliott situation is just like a case study in nonsense around anyone outside of the big six, unless you're a fan. I don't know. This has been a nearly 15... It'll probably be a 15-minute long waffly rant by the time I hit stop. But I couldn't help it. I am at my wit's end. I might be annoyed with the Villa fan base about the situation as well, but just hearing someone from outside of it try and say these things as well, it got to me. I'm probably overly tired and a little grumpy, and that's probably why I felt the need. But those are my thoughts. I hope I hope that I'm correct, because I do like Harvey Elliott a lot. I want him to be a permanent signing. Anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling now. Thanks for watching, and up the Villa.